Hey everyone, I hope you all are doing great and safe at home. So in physics, the next chapter that I'm going to take up for May month, it is dual nature of radiation and matter. The word dual means two. Two natures we are going to discuss in this chapter. That is, one nature is wave and other is particle. So the chapter name indicates dual nature of radiation and matter means radiation means light or wave. Wave can behave as a particle sometimes, and matter means particles, they can also behave as a wave. So the main goals and objective of this chapter is, as you can see, I have pasted a mind map of this chapter over here. So the main goals and objective of this chapter is, first of all, we are going to have an introduction that how Einstein contributed to the field of physics. Then we are going to discuss about dual nature of radiation, photoelectric effect, Einstein's equation of that effect. Then experiments are there, Davison-Germer, Hertz-Lenard's. Then we are going to discuss about matter waves, de Broglie relation. So let us start with the introduction part. Everybody knows Albert Einstein for his theory of relativity and the Nobel Prize he won for it. He also...
What? I didn't win the Nobel Prize for relativity. I won it for explaining the photoelectric effect.
Right, right, of course, sorry. Einstein won the Nobel Prize for his work on the photoelectric effect, which helped settle the age-old debate of what light is made of. So, what is it? Okay, let's rewind a little. Newton had thought light was made up of particles and his rival Hooke had thought it was a wave. And when technology advanced enough, some experiments proved Hooke was right. That proof and Maxwell's equation describing light's behavior as a wave made the debates die down until the photoelectric effect was discovered. When light hits a cable next to another cable, electrons jump from one to the other. It was thought it happened because waves of light made atoms vibrate until they eject an electron. But when it was measured carefully, a big contradiction was found. It only happened for light of some wavelengths. For others, no electron jumped at all. Einstein was bewildered. The photoelectric effect should work regardless of the type of light if light wasn't made up of particles, and now it turned out that it couldn't be made up of waves. What was it made of? After much reflection, he formulated a new hypothesis combining the two previous ones. What if light were not made up of wave or particle but of both? That is, what if light were made up of wave packets? That concept, which we now call photons, allowed Einstein to write out equations that explain the photoelectric effect in 1905. This consolidated the idea that light can sometimes be described as a wave, sometimes as a particle, and sometimes as either. It was a revolutionary view, and it opened the field for quantum physics. Robert A. Millikan, an American experimental physicist, was unconvinced by Einstein's conclusions. So, he set out to prove him wrong by carefully measuring the photoelectric effect. However, years later, Millikan ended up proving Einstein right, and they both were awarded the Nobel Prize in Physics in 1921 and 1923. The first topic that I am going to take up after introduction is electron emission. So we all know that metals have free electrons, but the electrons which are free means they are free to move inside the metal only, but they are not allowed to leave the metal surface, because if they will even try to leave that metal surface, what will happen? The surface will acquire a positive charge, which again is going to attract that electron. So what we need, if you want to make an electron free out of that metal surface, then some amount of energy needs to be supplied from the outside. Okay, and that minimum energy, the minimum energy required by an electron to escape from the metal surface is called as its work function. Okay, it will be called as the work function of the metal. Means, if I'm talking about copper, then for copper's metal surface, there will be a particular amount of energy that you have to be supplied somehow from outside, so that you can make that electron free out of that copper surface. Okay, and the symbol that we're going to use for work function will be phi naught, and units are EV. E means electron, V means volt. The definition of EV we have done very beautifully in the last chapter that we have covered. E means charge on electron, which is the value is 1.6 into 10 raised to power minus 19 coulomb, and 1 volt. When you multiply it together, It will be 1.6 into 10 raised to power minus 19 joule. Now the question is, how we can supply energy from outside? How we can supply? The different methods, 3 methods as you can see on my screen. Thermo-ionic emission. Therm means heat. So how you can provide energy? Heat is a form of energy. So by suitable heating, sufficient amount of energy can be given to the electron, can be provided to the electron so that they can come out of that metal, right? Second is field emission. Field means the field we are talking about here is electric field. By applying a very strong electric field, you can make that electron free from that metal surface. Third is photoelectric emission. Photo. This photo word has come from the word photons. Photons means light. Electric means electrons. So by providing light of suitable frequency, you can make electrons free out of that metal surface. And in this chapter, we'll be concentrating on photoelectric emission. Okay. So as you can see, one table is given over here, and two metals I have highlighted. One is K, that is potassium, and another one is Cu, that is copper. So for potassium, the work function is 2.30 eV. Means if you want to make any electron free out of the potassium surface, what you need? You need 2.30 eV amount of energy to be supplied to that electron. Then only you can make that electron free. And from copper surface, if you want, then you need how much? 4.65. So easily you can see from here that work functions, they are metal dependent. They are metal dependent, means there will be one particular value for every metal. Okay, and that will be obviously going to vary from metal to metal. So our next topic is photoelectric effect. Hertz observed photoelectric emission in 1887. Halbach and Lenard also observed the same phenomenon during 1886 and 1902. So what they observed and what was the experiment, that I'm going to discuss later on. Why? Because I want to show you first what was the experimental setup of this photoelectric effect. So let us see the diagram, this figure number 11.1. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to start with the plates, with the electrodes. As you can see, one plate is marked as C. C means cathode, and other plate is marked as A. A means anode. Cathode, if you see carefully, this C plate is connected to negative terminal of the battery. This C plate is connected to the negative terminal of the battery. That's why it is called as cathode. And the other electrode, other metal plate, is connected to the positive terminal of the battery. That's why it is called as anode. Okay, so we are having two electrodes. One is cathode. Cathode means it is connected to the negative terminal of the battery, and other one is anode, means it is connected to the positive terminal of the battery. As you can see, both the plates are in evacuated glass tube, means inside there is vacuum and it's a glass tube. This setup is made like this so that no distortion can take place. Then there is one quartz window, and from that light, what will happen? Why we will using this window? We'll be using this window to make light fall on the cathode. Okay, as you can see, S is marked over here. S is a source of light. And what kind of source it is? It is monochromatic source. Monochromatic means a source of single wavelength or single color. Okay? Then this C plate, that is called as photosensitive plate. Photosensitive plate means the plate in which electrons can easily be ejected out when photons are going to be strike on it. When photons are going to be strike on it. So let us suppose that light is going to be fall on this cathode plate C. Okay, cathode plate, and what will happen? Electrons are going to be ejected out. Electrons carrying negative charge. This plate C is also connected to negative terminal of the battery. So negative, negative, what will happen? Repulsion will be there. So means electrons will be repelled from this plate C. Electrons will be repelled from this plate C, and that's why this plate is also called as emitter plate. Emitter because it is providing the electrons. It is emitting the electrons. Okay, and another plate A, it is connected to positive terminal of the battery, and positive is going to attract the electrons. So it means that plate is called as collector. Why? Because it is going to collect all the ejected electrons. It is going to collect all the ejected electrons. I hope it is clear. What we are having? We are having two electrodes. One is cathode connected to negative terminal. Other plate is anode connected to positive terminal. This is C plate. C plate is called as emitter plate. Why? Because it is emitting electrons. A plate is called as collector plate. Why? Because it is collecting electrons. And why this emission and collection is taking place? This is taking place due to their polarities. Because negative negative repel and negative positive attract. The electrons ejected by this method are called as photoelectrons. Why? Because the reason of their emission is photons. That's why these electrons are called as photoelectrons. Okay, other things you can see, voltmeter is connected in parallel, there is microammeter connected, and a commutator. Commutator, we all know that commutator is what? It changes the direction of current. It changes the direction of current. How it going to change the direction of current? By changing the polarity. Why we need to change polarity? That I'm going to discuss later on. So this was the experimental setup for the study of photoelectric effect. Okay, I hope you all have understood the experimental setup for the study of photoelectric effect. Now let us watch and have a look that what was Halbach and Lenard's observation. Halbach and Lenard's observation. Philip Lenard observed then when ultraviolet radiation was made incident on the emitter plate of an evacuated glass tube enclosing two metal plates called electrodes, current flows in the circuit. These observations indicate that when ultraviolet radiation falls on the emitter plate, the electrons are ejected from it, which are attracted towards anode plate. The electron flow through the evacuated glass to complete the circuit, and current begins to flow in the circuit. Then Lenard and Halbach studied further by taking a zinc plate and an electroscope. The zinc plate was connected to an electroscope. They observed that when an uncharged zinc plate was irradiated by ultraviolet light, the zinc plate acquired a positive charge. When positively charged zinc plate is irradiated by UV light, the positive charge of the plate was increased. But when a negatively charged plate was irradiated by UV light, the charge was lost. All these observations show that when UV light falls on zinc plate, the negatively charged particle, that is electrons, are emitted. So this was all about today's video lecture. If you face any doubt while going through all of the topics that we have discussed, do let me know in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching this video lecture.